let's go to a movie review. This movie's called Fight Another Day, 2024 movie. Like I said, I guess it's a new year, so like newer films are getting released on Tubi. And like most of the movies I review, like they're all available to watch for free, either on Tubi or YouTube Movies for free. Because, I mean, if I watch a movie and I talk about it, I want you to be able to watch it as well. And this is one of the ones I would recommend you watch, even though I have some things I will say about it. First of all, fantastic characters, great characters, and that always makes a movie for me. It always makes a movie great for me. I like good, well-rounded characters. It all the movie kind of centers around this cop who's at the top of the triangle there. He's from 1989, and it matters. And his name's Ryan, and he's a cop, and he died. And so he's selected to fight in this arena against other people who died in history, and to avoid a paradox, once he dies, they'll throw him back to where he was. That way there's no paradox and nobody's like, oh, where these bodies keep disappearing to and going to fight in the future, like 2067 or something like that. They get pulled into the future and fight other like legendary people. And you see here down here, there's this guy, he's like the host of the show, Fight Another Day. His name is Varys Romulus. And I guess it's based upon the father of Rome or whatever, suckled at the teat of the wolves with his brother. Apparently he was like the first season winner, and so now he's like the show host. And so basically he dies and he goes through his first preliminary round where they throw him in this room. Now this is what bothers me, is these sets where these arena fights happen. It's all like the same room, but it's just decorated differently for every fight. And I was like, that. I understand you may have had a small budget, but couldn't you have done something more than that? Anyway. And so he's thrown in this room with like 7 other people, and they each have a dagger, and there's like standard fight, or whatever. We don't really care. And so last man standing, Ultimo Hombre, gets selected and moves on to the next round, which is a bunch of versus matches with a bunch of other people from history, basically. And what's great about this is that, you get a lot of bouts in the movie. Like 2 people like in the bout, will start fighting, and you're just like, oh, this is cool. And so I'll explain that here in a minute. But there's another great character that I like. His name's Colt. He's a cowboy, from the 1850s or something like that. He's great. There's a female samurai. And there were female samurais, you sexist bastard. Actually, I had to look it up because I was a sexist bastard. All right. And Keto made them equal. This is my note. I said Keto made them equal before Samuel Colt. Anyway, so you get a lot of these tidbits of versus battles coming up, and the overarching plot is not really intrusive until the 3rd act, and I like that. And you got to see a lot of bouts. Like the very first bout you see is the cop Ryan versus a knight. And Ryan, it's his first bout, and he gets a handler. Jim Belushi played a really good character which is his equipment manager. Yeah, and he's allowed weapons from his time. So what he has is a bunch of police riot gear, cop weapons, knives. He's got his leather jacket, and sunglasses, which is what he wore in this, because he was being filmed as like a reality TV show when he died. Pay attention to that. And so he gets to select from all this stuff, and so it's just fine. I'll pick a gun, but he doesn't know what he's facing. He's facing a knight, but his equipment manager does, and his equipment manager says take a knife. And so he goes out there, the guy in full armor with a claymore, the 6 foot tall swords, claymore. And he's like, oh boy, all he's got is like a 45, I think it was. And just empties the clip in this guy's armor, trying to get it into the eye slits and stuff like that. But it's much harder than you think. But let's be honest, knight's armor can stop small round ammunition. If he had a rifle or something like that, it might be a different story. But he just had the pistol, and eventually he had to use the knife to win. So, shoot. I shouldn't tell you who wins the fights. Anyway, assuming the cop is the main character, I guess you would assume he won anyway. All right. And then the next bout you get to see is the samurai woman versus, I think he's a Scottish warrior or possibly a berserker. I'm not really sure. Berserkers were Vikings, weren't they? So you get to see them fight. You get to see Colt, the cowboy, versus a Mongol warrior. You see them fight. You get to see the Viking fight, a dervish warrior. Those Islamic warriors that like spinning a lot, whirling dervishes, as they say. You get to see the cop fight a Roman Spartan. And that fight really kind of pissed me off and like takes away a star because he goes out there and he's like better equipped this time. He's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna wear riot gear. I'm gonna have the pistol. I'm gonna have a knife. I'm gonna have pepper spray. I'm gonna have what else? Here's the confusing part. Was it a shotgun or was it a 40 Mike? Because there's some scenes where he's like, he's picking up the 40 Mike, which is 40 millimeter, like a grenade launcher. It also fires like canisters and special rounds and stuff like that, which is a single shot breech loading weapon. All right. And so he goes in to fight with this Roman Spartan and he's just firing this 40 Mike like 5 or 6 times like it's semi-automatic. And it was like, that's wrong. But then he and Jim Belushi earlier had a conversation about having a shotgun. And so there's a scene where the Spartan knocks the shotgun out of his hand. The shotgun goes flying. It's like, I thought that was a 40 Mike. The shotgun goes flying. And then they fight a little bit with just the shield and pepper spray and stuff like that. Then he goes and picks up the gun again, and it's a 40 Mike, and he loads it with a breech and shoots again. What? Was it a shotgun or a 40 Mike? You lose a star for that kind of nonsense. All right, you get to see the cop versus a female soldier, which doesn't end very well. I don't like that one. Then you get to see the cowboy versus another Viking, but it's quite entertaining. Probably one of the best fights. And then you get to see Ryan, the cop. And this is this was absolutely my favorite fight, was the cop versus the samurai. Because the cop pissed off the powers that be, the Cobra Kai guy there. He's like the guy in charge of everything. He allowed him no weapons for this bout. So he goes out there with just his leather jacket and his sunglasses looking cool. But the samurai's all decked out in all her gear. She realizes he's not armed. She kneels before him, laying her weapons down. And there's a quote, I wrote it down. She said, without peace, there is no life. There is no peace here. And she lays down all her weapons. She takes off and lays down all her armor and says, I will face you as you will face me. And so he faces her hand to hand, which is warrior code. It's Bushido, I think. And there is warrior code. Knights had it, samurais had it. All those Japanese fans are like, oh, ninjas are so cool. And it's like, yeah, but they're assassins, man. Samurais were warriors, and they believed in a code. And that what she said, without peace, there is no life. And what warriors do is they fight for peace. And unfortunately, you're stuck in this thing where you're just fighting and fighting and fighting for what? For entertainment. And that's, in a lot of these warriors, they come across through the course of the character arcs, they come across this belief as well. It's like, this is ridiculous. This is not what violence is for. Violence is to create peace. And I love the scene. And additionally, she did do some Aikido moves, although there were some other things added. There's not that many strikes in Aikido. So I was disappointed with her particular ending because I was like, why? Why do we have to do that way? I hate knocking off a lot of stars in this because the characters are so damn great. But there's some things that are just so disappointing. And so, and I don't want to spoil the ending, but 8 of 13 stars for Fight Another Day 2024 film. The low budget reveals the set to be very basic. And it's very hard to look past that. You have the stars up? EK? You conscious? So low budget reveals the sets to be basic and disappointing. However, the characters are quite strong, and I would recommend that you watch this movie anyway. Because if you have any trouble writing characters or something like that, it's like there's several well-rounded characters in this movie, and I always like a movie that does that very well. So be brave.
The madman loves you all, from the big to the small.